coming right down that trail.
Well, guys, last week I got into a dogfight grind after the buck I call 80's. You know, the one thing that really helped me, though, was being in camp with Holden and Cody and their families and just that sweet fellowship that we had. And then Bud Fisher rolling into town, and me and him laughed our heads off together, had a great time. You know, Bud hunting, getting into a little grind himself, but he finally looks up and a mature buck's on the way.
There's a deer in that corner. That's a buck.
Bet.
Where did that come from? It has been so slow. He's not a huge deer. He doesn't have the biggest rack, but he's a mature buck. And Jeff wants deer like that off this farm. He said if it's mature and it's 8 or less, like, take him. If he's a young 10, don't shoot him. You know, he wants to make sure there's big deer on this farm, and that guy's not helping any, but I'll tell you what, I'm fired up to shoot that deer. I couldn't be happier.
Dang! Kill?
I did.
Oh, that's that management deer.
Look at that joker.
That is a management buck.
I got him in the binos, and I saw that he was a buck. I couldn't tell how big he was until he came right out to that fence, and he stood there. And I made up my mind at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, when I saw this mass,
deer,
when I saw the mass on him and the neck on him, I was like, he's a solid, he's a solid.
Maybe 4.
I think he like,
Maybe older.
Yeah.
I'll pull his teeth or look at his teeth and see if he may be going down here.
But I'll tell you, it's
That's all. Man, I tell you, and you know, struggling. I mean, golly, the farm is, you know, we got some really big deer, but it's just a struggle fest right now.
Woke up to a frosty 29 degrees. Awesome morning, a little quiet for my taste, but come in maybe to the best place on the farm. But it's just so quiet this morning. Get back in here, our access wasn't the greatest. It was, we run into a deer that blew at us. We just need the deer moving. If they move, we will get a chance right here. I am confused so much. I believe we're in lockdown. I truly believe. I mean, but it's so confusing because we're sitting here, we've probably seen, I would say, I don't know, 10, 12 does this morning. Not one buck cruising. Not a buck coming behind them. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know. Deer right here coming. What you probably don't know is I felt like my bow was off this morning. When I pulled it back, I always practice pulling it back, and I just felt like the peep or something had moved. So anyway, I shot it at a leaf, and it was way off. So then I got another arrow and shot it, and it was still off. I went down and got those 2 arrows, walked out there like I preached not to do, but I needed to make sure this bow was on. And by me walking out there, that's a 1.5-year-old buck. That's what your footprints do, or can do. Best action we had was midday, right at noon. Couple bucks, but still pretty slow. I mean, does no sign of blood activity whatsoever. I don't know, November 9th, it should be rocking. There's a buck right here.
It's my favorite, or one of my favorite days in the woods today. And I find myself not really excited. I am, but I'm just so confused. Reports are that people are seeing deer locked down, but enough of me feeling sorry for myself. What we're hunting is a stand I think will kill him. I know it's on a high ridge, kind of back in his core area for sure, where we first started getting pictures of him.
Last year on November 10th, I crawled in a tree having a terrible hunt and killed a really good buck. This morning, I'm hoping to do that very same thing, Lord willing. Got a really good brisk north wind. Should help our movement up here. We're up here about 26, 27 feet up in a big old oak. We had an encounter the other day with that jacked up buck right here. We scrape right here. Hoping that 80 will do similar to the same thing. So just sitting here, hopefully he walks by. But then we gotta head over to Kentucky, meeting my dad. I can't wait to go over and rifle in Kentucky with my dad. November 10th has been our best morning so far. This is a day we need to set all day, we just can't. I gotta leave a while. We gotta go to Kentucky, but this is just the end for now. 80 is here. I'm gonna check this camera before we get out of here. I hate to leave, but we gotta leave and just find out if he's been on here.
We were heading out. We were heading to Kentucky. You know, last time you heard me talk, we were gonna get down, and if there was any time I wish we could have stayed all day, it was already when I was in there because the pressure and the temperature. But then when I checked that card, he's been there every day at daylight since we haven't been there. Sometimes 2-3 times a day. So we're going back in now. Maybe, like I said, maybe he wins us tonight because a lot of times he's coming from the south and we got a northeast wind, but a lot of times he's coming from the west too. So.
Scary now because I'm going in to kill him. I'm in my ear bodysuit. It's because it's cold. High of 37 today. Wind chill like 25. The reason we're staying is because the covert cameras. This buck has been all over this ridge right here. Daylight. My dad and Quarter headed over to that meet Taylor. But we're gonna stay here tonight, just catch up with them tonight. Hopefully, the coverts kept us here for a good reason. jacking around, but I think it's a farmer. He's on a ranger down there in our cornfield. It ain't 250 yards from here, going up and down. I don't know what he's doing. He probably has no idea we're sitting up here. Does are coming out right here on this hill. 3 does. Oh, they're running. There's something back here. Oh, it's a buck. Dude, it's him.
I am standing at the area from last night, and here's the points that I think made our journey successful. Number one is if you're gonna hunt a big deer, you gotta know you have it. With Holden and Cody's help, we moved cameras around. And we, here we use corn, we use 4S, and we put stuff out and found this deer. We've had this deer for 3 years, and we've not shot a deer off this farm in a program trying to grow big deer.
He's going into that scrape. Jason knows out here. Maybe I'll lose one of them and I call him in.
When we're hunting November, this is the time of year I want to be aggressive. So we moved lots of stands around. We used rain and wind to be able to do that. So we tiptoed around.
He's coming right down that trail.
I really want to stress in November, if you're after a particular deer, if you got a wind, get into those sets and stay all day. What you do is you minimize your entries in and out. Instead of 4 entries, going in the morning, going out, then come back in the evening, you only have 2 instead of 4. And I tell you what, when you're hunting a big deer, that matters. So what we did is we stayed all day. Cold weather, we used our Magellan, layered up in the heater bodysuit, and we stayed warm, being able to stay all day.
Pray I got him, got me. It's a big, big deer. There was limbs right there, but I think I got through. If anything, I hit him a bump high. I'm gonna try to sneak out of here. Maybe get down and get my shoes off. We'll probably go out this way. I wanna get my arrow though. I wanna see it. A lot of times I don't tell the story.
I just shot a 180-inch deer, maybe 185. Unbelievable, this deer coming in. There's a scrape out there about 75 yards from us. He comes, works that scrape, comes down the road just on the prow, cuts right in front of us. Couldn't get any better, except he's coming out there, we're losing light, and he stops right where there's some limbs. And I'd already drew, and I just found a hole through those limbs. And I thought, well, aim small, miss small. I mean, the shot felt great. What it looks like it's a bump high. And then he was quartered a bump too, but this is probably 185-inch typical.
This must be your lucky day though, Jeff.
Yeah. I know, November 10th. Yeah.
2 years in a row.
Well, I just hope it's lucky. That's too big of a deer to...
That's a dead deer.
See, I wish I'd have put it more on his shoulder.
Yeah.
But all week I've been telling myself stay away from the shoulder because...
Yeah, you're good. He's dead. I guarantee it.
You feel good about it?
I think he's dead.
I mean, you think he's dead because it's just guts? I mean, because 100%, you can smell the air, it's guts.
I think he got liver. Yeah, I think he got liver.
You don't think I'm above liver?
No, I don't think you're as high as you think you are.
When the knock probably went up a little bit after it hit, it probably went.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stuck in the ground a foot. Well, if we went at 5:30 in the morning, it'll be 12 hours. So yeah, 2.5.
Say 6 o'clock would be 12, 8 would be 14.
Mm-hmm.
So you're about 14 and a half hours at 8 o'clock.
I'd say you're good.
Yeah, and it's gonna be cold. You gotta lay down and stiffen up. Here's my arrow, and it smells like guts, so it went in, hopefully, liver. We went through the guts and wiped it off pretty good. Definitely has that stench, so with that being said, the deer is gonna die. He should be dead. It's been 15 and a half hours, I believe. That culvert right there, this very one, is what made us stay. We got blood right here. Here it is right here. Son, I was so nervous, dude. The pressure, always look at that pressure, 30.55. I knew something good was gonna happen. And we checked that covert camera. Being able to check those cameras and keep up with deer, that is what made us stay, made us hunt this set the rest of the day. And come to find out, that was the fatal mistake of this buck. The coyote's got to him. Or yeah, that's what it is in the bobcat. Right there. Before I even look at it, dear Lord, thank you so much. It's all you. Well, the first thing I want to say is I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I'm going to tell you, 9 days right here of banging your head thinking you're hunting something that don't exist. I mean, literally, we saw him first day, and boy, you get all high hopes. And then 3 or 4 days in a stand of not even a slightest think that you're close to him. And then all of a sudden you pull a card, and there he is. We got 500 acres, but he was basically in 100 acres.
Yeah.
And he was right underneath their nose.
In my opinion, I don't think he's ever left you. I think he's been in this core area.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I bet you out of the 9 days, I bet we were within 150 yards of many occasions this week.
Yeah.
That is what whitetail hunters, that's what we live for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't draw up a better typical than that right there.
No.
What a giant here in Ohio. 500-acre lease that we've had 3 years. Y'all have helped tremendously on this lease with us. It just don't get no better at the end of the day. Well, John 15:5 in the Bible is kind of a verse I go by, and it says, at the end of that verse, it says, without him, you can do nothing. And I truly believe that. It also says in Romans 8:28 that all good things are from him, according to his purpose. And so this right here is from him. I mean, him coming in, I prayed all week. I'm like, God, I don't pray for deer very much, but I'm like, God, teach me through this and help me at the end, and I will give you all the praise and the glory. And right now, I'm giving him all the praise and the glory. This has nothing to do with me. And so I tell you, if you're struggling, whatever it might be, quit depending on yourself, because we all have struggles. And just give it to God. Circumstances don't make us who we are, and it doesn't bring us joy. He is joy.